Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a good one for you this morning. I don't know if you're going to believe it, but it's great. Let's just level set before we get started here. We have some things that we need to lay out to set the tone for today. A lot of information. Ripple developments are being revealed, and I don't believe it's an accident in the timing at all. We will discuss. Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, has gone public with the argument on Axios HBO and addresses the SEC Ripple lawsuit. Oh boy. And we're at 47 cents, which is a serious mark on the TA charts, the technical analysis here. And if we stay above that 47-cent range, we can start talking about chasing down $1 and so much more. Let's roll that beautiful intro. Here we go.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradley above at the top of the screen and everything that we're talking about here today. Let's go ahead and get started. This is from CoinDesk. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have brought new thinking to payments and financial inclusion, but they've also raised new issues of investor protection that we still need to attend to, Gary Gensler said at the Tuesday Senate hearing. I just wanted to touch on this, that I don't see on the calendar for the Senate anything about the confirmation or vote on Gary Gensler as of Friday, I believe it was, but I have heard rumblings from a few people that he could be confirmed as early as today. So we'll keep our head on a swivel for that. I don't have definitive information about whether that's accurate or not, but we need to pay attention because I believe we're going to discuss some information here that really does show and highlight how severely the SEC needs real leadership. It is in a disarray, and so is the case between Ripple and the SEC. More on that in a second. Now, let's go ahead and start right here to level set. Just stay with me if you're a veteran in this space. I'm level setting for some of the new people, 400 to 500 people joining the channel every single day. Let's just let them understand that in 2017, the Federal Reserve Faster Payments Task Force, they said Ripple improves speed and transparency of global payments. Now, that's been going on for years. We know that that has been the situation, and if you're new, it has. But listen to this. This is from 10 million view Bitcoin channel. I don't know if he's actually still doing a channel, but I wanted to thank him because I was looking for a comment that Bernard Bernanke had made back in 2017, which was the former chairman of the Federal Reserve. And the reason I'm showing you this from 2017 is to just level set the seriousness that Ripple and XRP have been taken by these high-level officials. Listen to this clip from 2017, just so you get the level set before where we're going right here in about another 2.5 minutes. Listen to this little quick clip here.
Moves money today. Its opening keynote address was given Monday by Ben Bernanke, former Fed chair, during a discussion with Ripple board of director Gene Sperling himself.
By the way, Gene Sperling, if you're not aware, so former Federal Reserve chair Ben Bernanke was speaking at the 2017 swell, and Gene Sperling joined Ripple in 2015, who was a former economic national director for two different presidents, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. So this is the kind of roster, if you're not aware, that Ripple has. I encourage you to look at their board of directors, but just listen to the rest of this clip so you understand the depth of who has been involved with Ripple and XRP since the inception. Let's just keep listening.
A former admin advisor to Presidents Clinton and Obama, as well as during Hillary Clinton's 2008 campaign, Mr. Bernanke praised Ripple. The Fed, the Bank of England, and Japan, Mr. Bernanke is quoted by Fortune's Jeff John Roberts, are very supportive of Ripple and similar technologies because they'll improve payment systems. Bitcoin, however, hasn't shown itself to be a real transactional currency, he said, adding how it is a mostly speculative venture. Now, of course, he's also said the connection a couple years ago between using Bitcoin and illicit activities and the idea that there's some anonymity. Now, obviously, you get to decide which ones you think are going to be moving forward, but it does seem like Mr. Bernanke has actually drawn the line in the sand by speaking at this particular conference. From the complimentary event in Old Toronto's Distillery District at the Metro Toronto Convention Center, the now Brookings Distinguished Fellow in Residence blogger continued his swell remarks. Bitcoin is an attempt to replace fiat currency and evade regulation and government intervention. I don't think that's going to be a success. He also dismissed the idea, and then Mr. Roberts noted, eventually eventually governments will take any action they need to prevent that. This is from Fortune, reported Mr. Bernanke as predicting. So he's basically saying that he supports Ripple and this frictionless or much easier way of transacting in banking and having some kind of security that might be superior to the security that they've had in the past. But anything mentioning the outside of government regulation or the concept that is outside of a centralized banking system is really not okay with Mr. Bernanke, and he feels like it would completely be shut down eventually, and the banks will do whatever they have to do. Now, I don't know what that.
Now, I think you get the gist of it here, as the line was clearly drawn by the former Federal Reserve Chairman, Bernard Bernanke, right? And the idea that Gene Sperling left being a national economic advisor for 2 different presidents and say, hey, I'm going to go work with this startup, Ripple. Who does that? Unless they understand the seriousness and the weight of what Ripple and XRP and the XRP ledger are going to provide to the new financial system. And I think that's what we're really talking about in light of what we're seeing today. And that's why I wanted to give that level set and contrast to understand where we're at here. Now, as a side note, I think they were also pretty vocal from everyone that spoke about where Bitcoin really sits in this equation. And I ask you today, what has changed with Ripple and XRP from 2017? I'll tell you what's changed. We've actually seen the public admission that there is a private fork for those central banks, which tells me the journey from 2017 and earlier to where we are today has been nothing but a complete success. We're going to look at more information on that in a minute. And then I ask you to A/B this. What has changed for Bitcoin? The price has gone up, but has it become any more developed as a payment system? I'll let you figure out the answer. Moving on to this right here. This is from U.Dot Today, and this is one of the major European central banks is eyeing XRP as a potential platform for issuing digital euro. We kind of know this because there's a private fork that's been announced from Ripple itself for central banks to issue their stable coins, but this just reinforces the notion, doesn't it? CPA Australia is a professional accounting organization in Australia that has been working since 1886 with more than 166,000 employees in over 150 nations globally. Not exactly a corner store, right? If we just get on down here, it really gets to where they talk about they were using Ethereum, but then it says here, in this report speaks of Ripple as an alternative platform to Ethereum, and XRP is a coin that runs on its own ledger, stating that Ripple does not operate on a blockchain network per se, but it has its own ledger for performing transactions, which is really the XRP ledger. The author has also mentioned that Ripple is trusted by multiple banks as a model for CBDCs due to its high centralization. And that's really what we're talking about here. The document also stated that the Central Bank of France has already discussed XRP and Ripple as a potential platform for making the digital euro. Kind of what we already knew, right, based on this right here. Ripple pilots a private ledger for central banks launching CBDCs. This is where we're at, people. This is where we're at, and it doesn't stop here because Crypto Bull 2020 reminds us there's also a pilot using XRP to settle corporate debt and credits. In Japan, hits a new milestone. Yeah, this is what's going on while we're dealing with the SEC floundering around with what we all have really come to realize is a terrible case against Ripple and XRP. It's bad. Right? It's really bad. It's so bad, they've taken to Axios HBO, and we're going to get to that in just a second. And that is unbelievable to me that Ripple realizes how bad this case is, that they're taken to these level of public awareness through platforms like Axios HBO, which is going to touch probably several million people that aren't even aware of what's happening, bringing even more embarrassment and shame to the SEC as they roll this out to be even more of a public viewing of what a mess this is. So this really, I believe, is going to lead us to a settlement because it's going to cause more pressure to get this thing done. I think the last thing they want to do is take this to trial. Pilot using XRP to settle corporate debts and credits in Japan. We did cover this when it first came out, but I just want to highlight that you see that there's a pilot private fork, which I firmly believe that has already been tested, and they're just really making this public awareness, and they're about to get to that place where it's full on use. So which also tells me that they have simulation models which probably tell them exactly what the price of XRP would need to be to handle the volume and daily settlement for those central banks, which would probably be in the trillions. And if it is, they know exactly what the price of XRP would need to be to satisfy the settlement of transactions on that ledger. The program has previously had success utilizing Ripple's native token to conduct future transactions, in Japan. However, in late February, FX Coin revealed that it also had success sending XRP overseas to Singapore to settle future transactions, a milestone for the crypto startup in the Sumitomo Group. Now, what I just simply say to that is that we're dealing with transactions that are no longer intra, right? They're interbank settlements, so it's going across borders as well, which is hugely positive that this is taking that next step to go between Japan and Singapore, or just like the BIS Innovation Hub testing, which is probably a part of this, which is Thailand, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Japan, I believe. And that tells you they're testing central bank digital currencies as cross-border transaction between those regions, which means that the tests are getting bigger and broader and going across from country to country now. We're not far. Now, remember what was said at the 2017 conference about Bitcoin as well as XRP, but let's focus on Bitcoin for a second. I asked you, what has changed other than the price of Bitcoin since 2017? Has it become more effective as a payment network? Have the fees come down? Has the settlement time shortened? I'll let you answer the question. Here's what we do know. Jesse Powell, who said last week he believes Bitcoin will just work its way in the next 10 years up to $1 million. I mean, there won't be a government or anyone to be upset about that. It won't challenge sovereign currencies. He just thinks it's going to willy just float right on up to $1 million. Oh, brother. But he also says XRP presents huge risk to exchanges, says the CEO, Jesse Powell. Yeah, that's what he says. And he goes on to say here that cryptocurrency exchange Kraken has addressed criticism surrounding the halting of XRP trading, claiming that the token presents a huge asymmetrical risk for exchanges after affiliated blockchain company Ripple got sued, or is being sued, by the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission in late December. Powell claims that judges tend to side with regulatory agencies, have to assume SEC's case is in good faith. Judges tend to side with the agencies. If XRP found to be a security, SEC would say exchanges should have known. Well, let me clue you in on this one. They actually are saying that now, and then they're saying out the other side of their mouth that the Ripple case is about finding out whether it actually is or isn't a security, which actually is true because the SEC hasn't had the backbone to actually say what it is for the last 8 years. It's embarrassing. It's almost as embarrassing as Jesse Powell thinking Bitcoin's going to $1 million without one government around the world standing up and saying, oh, I don't think so, right? That's almost as ridiculous to me as him thinking that, that exchanges won't list it and this, that, and the other. It's like the only reason exchanges won't relist XRP is if they don't have a security license and for some wild reason it happens to catch a security designation. And however, if it does catch such a designation, I don't believe that they will harm the full-scale intended use of the asset. It would be like shooting the golden goose. After all, they do have a private ledger that they're running and issuing central bank digital currencies off of. I'm pretty sure someone understands what the full-scale intended use actually is, right? Certainly the judge does, right? If we know that central banks are using a private fork of the XRP ledger, I'm pretty sure the judge has a really good understanding of what's going on here. Now, to take this one step further, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has made an appearance on Axios HBO. Now, this to me is remarkable. Let me just play the clip. He lays it down here.
All right, so in December, the SEC sues Ripple, and the gist of it is they say, you guys, or by selling XRP or releasing it into the community, as you would say, it was a security, not an asset, not gold. It's more like a stock. And you didn't register it. What you did was illegal.
That lawsuit, I think, is misguided. I think the idea that XRP is a security, it has traded out there for 8 years. It's kind of like, well, if it was a security, I guess we should have known that a long time ago.
So is your basic defense, you let us trade it for years and thus givesies backsies? Is that basically your response?
No. I mean, look, if you own a security, it gives you ownership of a company, right? If Ripple goes away, XRP is going to keep trading. Many countries around the world, the UK, Japan, Switzerland, Singapore, they all have clarity and certainty that XRP is not a security. In fact, the United States is the only country on the planet that has suggested that XRP is a security. And that's why I say this isn't just bad for Ripple, it's bad for crypto broadly here in the United States, and it's driving that activity, it's driving that entrepreneurial activity outside the United States. I think that definitely bodes poorly for the US crypto industry at large. I think if you believe these are the future infrastructures for payment networks, I think we should care about what countries have control over those technologies.
And there you see it. I mean, you just can't make it up. I mean, to me, they're doing the right thing here by making this public understanding of this horrible case as public as they possibly can, right? Let's bring as many eyeballs to this as we possibly can, because we know that the SEC has a horrible case put together here. In fact, if they wanted to make a stronger case, the stronger case is that if you were going to declare it an unregistered security or non-compliant security, you'd want to make it a security of the XRP ledger and all the value that's collateralized on it, not a security connected to the company Ripple, because Ripple already has private shares. I like the idea personally myself, as XRP being a currency. It certainly works best and the most effortless in that scenario. And if you're going to use it to settle in between the FX market, I think it's probably the safest, easiest path with the least resistance is to give it a currency designation or a virtual currency, convertible currency designation. So that way you can ensure that it doesn't challenge the legal tender status of fiat money, government currencies, as Bitcoin does, which is why, wink, wink, why the governments don't like it. Right. So to me, that's the safest path with the least resistance right there. But you know what? I just think it's the right move by Ripple to bring this amount of attention and to continue to bring this amount of attention on it, because, just because something gets bigger doesn't make it any better. Right. And I think that's the situation here. They realize we know that this is not good. We need to see as many people understand how not good this is to incentivize the SEC to want to settle this, because it is a mess. So hopefully we will see, along with this approach while they're trying to negotiate, hopefully we can see Gary Gensler get confirmed, and really, I believe he is going to lead from the front and to get a part of this conversation with this lawsuit, the judge and Ripple, and let's get a resolution, because as Brad so eloquently said, this is not just about XRP, because even if it gets a security designation, it is going to continue to move and sell around the world. And that's the thing we have to remember while going through this. So with that being said, I think getting Gary Gensler a part of this conversation could probably help us get to a resolution a lot sooner rather than later. Let's hope for that confirmation to come as soon as possible. One thing's for sure, this gets more interesting by the day. Brad Garlinghouse on Axios HBO. That's going to do it for me. Hit the like and subscribe and leave a comment below and share with somebody you know. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Oh, by the way, check this out. The March Madness, which everybody's like, hey, why do you keep talking about unstoppable domains and March Madness? Because esports.crypto sold for $2,000. What do you think that's going to be worth? And by the way, they did sports and gaming, which were these domains that were released, the .cryptos here. And there's a link in the description box and the comment section for all of these. This week, they're releasing for the first time ever for March Madness, the industry of travel and transportation. Don't you let me get travel.crypto. Don't you let me do it. Don't you let me do it. I'll catch you on the next one.